What is up, everybody? We're doing another, well, it's kind of an interesting tour today. We're going to get into that a little bit, but we are sitting in an empty shell, or not an empty shell, but a shell of a tiny house. And I wanted to show this to the audience because I think it's really important to know where to start from. And this is a DIYer's dream, in my opinion. Luckily, I'm standing with the owner of Trailer Made Trailer and Tiny House Experts. And then we're going to go into a little bit, or a lot of it, of what he does and how it can benefit all of you DIYers, or even if you are a professional tiny house builder, it also can benefit you there as well. Most importantly, thank you to Kyle again for helping me out with this. My man, thank you so much. Appreciate you, buddy. I love you.
You just roll everything in one take?
Yeah.
Badass. That's we do too. I'm like, yeah, it's good enough. I mean,
figure it out. I don't know if I even said your name at the top of the video.
No,
but
you didn't say anything.
No, I didn't. But this is Damon.
Hi, everybody. I'm Damon Deschamps with Trailer Made Trailers, the Tiny House Experts.
You have been doing this. If you don't, I don't want to age yourself here too much, but how long have you been doing this?
Next week we start our 12th year in business in the tiny house industry.
In the tiny house industry,
yeah.
You are very well known in the tiny house industry for making pretty much 80% of the trailers, maybe even more than that, 90% of the trailers that tiny house frames sit on.
Yes.
How many years doing the frame kit?
We started framing, we're inside one of our tiny house kits. This is for a DIYer or a professional builder. You know, a lot of at this festival, a lot of the builders, their homes, like you said, about 80% of them start life in our factory.
Yep.
And that's at least the foundation, about 80% of the time, and then about 50% of the time we do framing on that. That's light gauge steel, all recycled. We started that in 2016 in-house.
Cool.
We experimented with it with a third-party vendor for a year or so prior. We found out that it really had incredible benefits to offer, but like everything related to tiny homes, this had to be tweaked a little bit to be very tiny home specific when it was built. So that's kind of what we did. We brought that in-house.
Just so everybody knows, if you watch my channel, I do 2 videos a week, one tour about somebody else or a company, whatever. Another one is a vlog about what I do on my, whatever I'm doing. I ordered I'm building a tiny house, and I ordered my trailer and my frame kit from you about a year ago.
About this time last year, yeah.
Yeah, oh my goodness. What's really cool is we're standing in a shell right now that was designed by who?
12-year-old Emma. So this was a middle school project, conceptually. The kids in their class had to design an interior floor plan, a layout, kind of like a dollhouse. You know, it's like if you take a house and do a cutaway of it, you see where everything is. So this was going to be built for her grandmother to live in as a granny pod. So they're moving this to the family land, as I understand it.
Wow.
And Emma's mom is the daughter of grandma. So she's moving her mom home with her to care for her in her golden years. And Emma said she wanted to build her a house. She came today to see it. This was the first time that she saw it. And it's pretty easy for all of us to get emotional over because we have a relationship with Emma and her family. And when she saw it today, she was over the moon. She was speechless.
Wow.
And she designed this front to back. She picked the colors. She was very particular about the colors.
Like the exterior.
The exterior, that's right. And she has family in the trades, so that's why we didn't finish any more of this one than they did, because they have people that can do that, and we don't need to charge them to do it.
What an amazing story.
Yeah, it was super cool.
So that's a great segue into Tiny House Experts shows the DIYers kind of how to do all this.
Yes.
And you can do trailer frame kit. You can do trailer by itself.
Right.
You can do trailer frame kit, flat packed, which is what you did for me.
Yep.
Which is a pain in the butt to assemble because I don't ever want to do that again.
You were a one-man show. That makes it tough.
You can also assemble in your own shop. You can assemble the whole frame.
That's right.
And you can sheath it either in, what board do you have on there now?
This has got zip on here.
It does have zip. Okay. You can, I
with
call
poly
it
iso exterior.
Okay.
Little extra insulation because we're in Colorado.
So you can ship it out as a green box is what I call it.
Yep.
With the zip sheathing all around it, taped up and sealed and all good.
Right.
And floor insulated.
That's right.
Spray foamed.
Spray foam. We do that in-house.
And when I got the quote on it, everybody, I wish I went with Damon and his crew to do it because it was a heck of a lot cheaper for them to do it than me to do it. And that's crazy to think about because I'm the DIYer and it's supposed to be cheaper for me to do it.
We sat here and did the math together and we were within a few $100
if that,
of us doing it all for you versus you doing all of the work and buying the materials.
You're pretty tired and it's hard to do.
This is 12-hour days for 6 months to 12 months.
Yep, and like you said, I was a one-man show. Luckily, I had my dad to help me.
That cuts that time down significantly. But I've heard lots of stories from single venture DIYers where it's months longer than you anticipate. So don't underestimate the size of the house.
Yeah.
The size of the job is still building a house
and then
from scratch.
And to lift up a wall, you know, this one's like probably 10
Probably
foot, 11 inches.
Yeah, it's probably close to 11 feet.
Oh yeah, 11 foot, and then this one's probably 9, right?
Yeah, I'd say.
Which is the same as mine because you have a 2 to 12 pitch on the roof.
Sure.
Lifting those up, they're a couple hundred pounds.
Easy.
I'll actually throw some footage into how I did it, which was, you love that.
I love that. I texted you. I said,
Yeah, you were so excited. It was my dad's idea. I won't take credit for it.
Well, yeah, you told me who your dad was, so I already knew where the idea came from.
I wish you were there. I wish you were fly on the wall in that instance, because, like, honestly, I was like, Dad, this ain't gonna work. Like, you're about to break my house. Like, I was like pacing. I was like, this ain't gonna work, man. And he's like, can you just trust me? And I'm like, nah, man. Tying it off to my truck and backing it up and lifting it through a winch was just the most crazy thing I've ever done.
No, man, you did it great. We get a school of worker bee guys that just go 1, 2, 3, and hoist it up. So, I mean, we have cranes and things if they're too big, but generally speaking, we break these up into sizes that 3 people can get up and onto the foundation.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so
you were 1 to 2 short on most of that project, so that's why I felt like it was hard.
I'm so glad it's near the end, trust me. Tell me the benefits for everybody watching. Why steel over timber?
I'm so glad you asked.
Yes.
So glad you asked that.
And this is not aluminum, this is steel.
I want to clear up that a lot of people think that these are aluminum frames, and they're not, because aluminum doesn't work well in this aspect. It's way too expensive and too soft. This is structural grade A steel, 53,000 tensile strength. That's PSI or KSI, 53 KSI. That allows you to grade the structural integrity of stuff to be able to stack it story upon story.
Wow.
And we can go 3 or 4 stories with this depending on the floor plans. We don't do that. That's not our game. But that we wanted something that could kind of flex that muscle in the industry and say, we can go 40 feet high with this particular frame and profile design in the steel if we need to. Commercial grade, commercial strength, but it is light gauge steel. The 70 KSI steel that we use in the chassis is all recycled to the best that we can get from the mills. It's 90 to 95%, depends on how pure the recycled material is before we buy it. They have to add 5 to 10% more new ore to bring it up to our required tensile strengths. So this is 95% recycled, all U.S. steel. So is this down here. Smaller carbon footprint, and we're recycling, not mining and producing new ore.
Okay.
That's a benefit to somebody who wants to build environmentally conscious. The benefits beyond that, the nuts and bolts of this, it all goes together. Like a space frame or a roll cage in a race car.
Yep.
And
I call it just life-size erector set.
It really is, man. That's dating us a bit because not everybody knows what an erector set is.
Kyle, do you know what an erector set is? And he's 8 years younger than me.
Wow, a millennial that knows what an erector set is. I'm impressed. Good job, Kyle. Truly, the benefit to that is you can build it in a commercial strength, but at a DIY novice skill level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the nuts and bolts. It goes together like an erector set. All of these right here are the pilot holes that are already in place. There's a special screw that we use.
I can attest to that. They are spot on.
Yeah, they show you where you've missed a place to put a screw every single time, right?
And in your 18-page how to do it gives it so idiot-proof that literally, like, anybody can do it.
We say DIY friendly.
Okay.
Because it takes a pretty smart person or a group of people to take this venture on and have the know-how to get to the end of it without reaching out for help.
I will say it was daunting at the beginning, only because when you see the trailer and you see all the steel laid out, I was like, what the heck did I get myself into? But the first page of the book, if I just read the darn book, it says, take everything off the trailer, lay it all out. Everything is marked.
It's all got its label and location.
It has her name, Emma's name is on it. And then it even says 18 by whatever, and then, it even gives you an arrow to say, we'll go up this way. This is letter F. I talked about this in my vlogs, but not everybody watches my vlogs.
Sure.
So
Which you should.
Thank you.
Because you're pretty good.
And so,
but I enjoy home building, and I enjoy watching somebody go through all the struggles that we go through on when we punch in for work every day.
I guess my point was there was no struggle.
Yeah.
You made it so easy for me.
We've done our best.
You know, I was just like, whoa, I don't have to frame this thing up. You know, but I would have to like cut the wood to the size and do all the stuff and make a header properly and double frame windows. And
our mission was to take that dark art, right, that you need a set of blueprints for, and you need almost an engineer to approve. So if I build it, will it stand up?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I can put something together, but will it survive winds or tornadoes or whatever it may encounter in its life? And take it down to a pile of wood and then build it out of that from scratch, right? That's really daunting, and that's where a lot of mistakes can happen. So we want to take that guesswork out of it for the DIYer and give them that erector set, or we call this an IKEA furniture kit that you can live in when you're done putting it together.
What's interesting is I stepped into this just before the camera was rolling, and I was like, this is a 10 foot, as in 10 foot wide.
Yeah.
I have an 8 foot wide by 24 feet long.
And you're mad about it.
And I did not know this. However, I did know this and I did not know this. Anything over 8 foot 6 inches, you need a permit for.
Right.
So a 10 footer, I'm gonna need a permit for.
Yep.
That's why I never went with a 10 foot wide trailer, because I was like, oh, I need a permit. And then you were like, yeah, but your permit is
$35.
Yeah, to move it.
Yeah. It's good for 5 days here in the state.
Right.
And it has reciprocity to border states. There's, you might spend a couple $100s to go from coast to coast in oversized fees to pull a 10 wide tiny home.
I thought you needed police escort.
Oh, boy.
I thought you needed, because I thought that was oversized. Did you know any of this, Kyle?
Didn't.
See?
If you see it on the internet, it's true, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I've seen some doozies about where the line is drawn in the sand, where you shouldn't pull something wider. And the fact is, we're a vehicle manufacturer, and we build all of this from scratch in our factory, and we're a federally licensed vehicle manufacturer like Ford, General Motors, Toyota. We adhere to the same guidelines of NHTSA that they have to, and we answer to the same people at the very, very high levels where you don't ever want to have those conversations.
Yeah, right.
So we have to know DOT law very well. I said all that to tell you that we have to know what states are okay with what are height limits, and make sure that we're current on our information, because it can change. The reality is a 10 foot wide is big enough to live in, but not too big to pull. These don't get pulled or towed very darn often.
Right.
They really don't.
You don't, I mean, you can.
You could drive it from coast to coast as many times as you want to do it.
Especially because it's steel frame.
The way these are built, these can put as many miles as the diesel pulling it.
Which is another pro to have steel over timber.
100%.
But
yeah, we got away from that a little, didn't we?
We did, but we, for the most part, 98% of people do not tow this and live in it.
Right.
They tow it, put it on a piece of
place.
property, leave it there for X amount of time, and then maybe they might move it to another piece of property. Relocate it.
Probably 80-85% of our customer base.
So why not just get a 10
buy it
footer?
and park it and leave it kind of thing? Why is what?
Not why. So why don't we all just get 10 footers? Because honestly, I'm in a 10 footer, and that's what I was bumming.
It's truly, it's more than half of our business, and we do 800 to 1,200 trailers a year for tiny houses.
Wow.
And more than half or just more than half of those are 10 foot or wider.
Wow.
Yeah, the 8 foot thing is for mobility.
In my opinion, the biggest pro of steel over timber is weight. It's less weight in steel, which is weird to me to say that out loud. Because it feels like wood would be less weight.
You would think.
But wood is way more weight than it is, not way, but a lot more weight.
25%, yeah.
That's a lot more weight in my opinion.
Can be.
Because we're sitting on axles at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And we're rated for a certain amount of weight.
Correct.
So we have to make sure we're under that weight rating.
Correct. So, or you make sure that the chassis that you're sitting on is built for the weight that you're going to build on it.
Right. And van lifers, we do it too. We have to make sure we're under the GSRW, right?
That's right. You got to know what your combined is and how much you can put in it. The biggest thing that I point out to in steel framing is this is a tighter thermal envelope. Which do you think conducts more thermal energy through it faster, wood or steel?
Well, steel does.
Of course.
Right.
But there's a caveat to that. So you would think, I frame with wood, I have a tighter thermal envelope because I have a warmer material in my stud, in my wall system, right?
Yeah.
But what you have is an R3 piece of material, no matter what you do to it. Lumber. Its R value in 2x4 dimension is R3. You turn it sideways, it's still R3. And you got another one 16 inches away, and another one, and another one, and another one. And when you do that math, you end up with 25% of the perimeter of your house has an R3 vent through your otherwise very tight, very warm thermal envelope. That's like leaving the door open all winter.
Well, yeah.
So you're getting only a 70-75% enveloped thermal zone inside that house. Now, steel, it's a really, really terrible insulator by itself. But what we can do, because we can go through the stud and insulate all the way to the face and start again an immediate fill of any insulation into the cavity of the next stud. So we can insulate the studs because the profile is open. It's not solid wood. We can't change what's inside of that piece of lumber. But what we can do is turn this conductor of energy into an insulated stud that matches the rest of the cavity, instead of having R3 and then whatever our warm wall is, and then R3 and so on. I say that these are more thermally efficient when they're insulated correctly. We prefer spray foam. We use some really, really low VOC stuff that doesn't do off-gassing and other things.
We're almost at the installation stage, and you'd have to wire everything up and then spray foam insulate.
Yeah, this one's ready for that. What we would do from here, or the homeowner would do, depends, is set the electrical panel, pull all the wiring, the Romex, to where all the lights and the fixtures and the outlets are going to be. And then we do that next with the plumbing. So we come up through the floor, so we got a frost protection around the main going in, and then we would stem off the interior walls to the fixtures. And then after those are hung in, tape off the windows and that sort of thing, spray foam it shut. Gas would go in at the same time plumbing would, if we would do that there. So we would shoot this full of spray foam. We fill all the way out to the edge, right? And then we trim back to the stud so it'll trim nicely. And then if it's a really cold climate, like we would have taken another inch or two of yours on the outside and hung, foam board or something to give you 5 to 10 more points to get you north of 30, because we're getting really close to 25 right here now.
Yeah, I'm about with the spray foam, I think they rated me at like an R20 something.
If you're 20 in the walls, that's really good, because 25 is LEED Platinum certification.
And you also know my heating system, which is next level.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but which again, no tiny house builder is going to do that.
No, that's expensive.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, maybe they will. You never know. We know people that know people. We have some of the same friends.
We have some of the same friends, and I'm going to get you in contact with them, and I want them to be like your upfitter.
Heck yeah.
And it'll be great. You don't know until you know. I don't know how else to put that.
Right.
So
you didn't do anything wrong.
No, I know.
You did absolutely everything.
Because I called you every other week.
And that's what we're here for. And that's we've been that hotline, 911 phone call for the tiny house industry for DIYers for a dozen years.
Yeah.
We know this stuff because we do it day in and day out. This isn't a part-time job. It's not a hobby. And I'm a nerd. I like to tech out on stuff. It takes a nerd to want to build a house like this.
Before we kind of wrap things up here, I want to show just how this is bolted down. Let's see here. Kyle, you can show this. This is your...
That's a Simpson HTT4 hurricane tie.
Hurricane tie bolt. This thing, honestly, going around the house, these would just hold it down. However, you do a lot more than that.
Yeah.
You do a lot more than that.
We do.
That thing is that's bolted through the frame.
It goes through the sill plate of the foundation.
And then it bolts on. And you have how many of these around?
One about every 4 feet per, in linear 4 foot intervals, as close to 4 feet apart as you can.
I want to say on my 24-footer, I put
probably 6 or 8
on each wall.
Yeah, 5 or 6 on each side. And then a couple of RCKs with stiffeners over the fenders, because these fenders are structural.
Yeah, right.
Right. This is your sill plate.
Yep.
That's sitting down here, right? So this, if this was concrete, they would form this and box this out and pour it separately. but so you have to attach here too. Back in the dark ages, we all in the industry tried to figure out, you know, we're building headers over these things and letting the walls kind of float here. We saw some crazy stuff out there.
Sure.
There was really no limit to what kind of creativity the industry was throwing at this problem, which is how do you seal up the wall to the fender? You got potential, you know, condensation, thermal bridging right here, because right on the other side of that steel is the tire.
Yeah.
Right. So you know, you trim that out with wood, and you don't let anything touch steel. That's going to soak up water. So everything has a sill seal in between surfaces underneath what we're standing on. So that sweating never occurs. You know, we had to figure out how do we get the house to sit down on the fender, make it structural, make it watertight, and then make it, you know, energy tight in the envelope. So you've done everything the right way that you've done so far, because you've used our instructions, our building practice here. Sill seal in between the wall. This is really more for wood frames.
Right.
But there's no reason not to do it on a steel frame, because then it just kind of helps seal everything.
However, I did call you and I was like, listen, like, because I knew about the thermal, I call it thermal break, thermal bridging, same difference.
Yeah.
I knew that this was going to get cold air, and I was like, what do I do? And you were like, put foam board against it, dude. And that's exactly what it did. Just foam board, boom, and it'll be good.
Yeah.
The other thing is, got to put foam board underneath your lip all the way around.
That's a good idea. Yes. On the sill plate.
Yep. And I'm going to stand up.
Yeah, I need to too.
We're getting too old for this.
And I can show you that outside, but underneath the sill plate, because it's like an L shape and the wall sits on the outside, what we recommend is a little bit of rigid foam insulation and then a 2x6 treated lumber, and then bolt that together through your wall.
Okay.
So that pulls that up, that gives you an R3 or R4 break plus another 2 or 3 of foam there, and then the wall's going to dissipate the rest because it's a heat sink sitting on top of that piece.
Yep.
And that's how we screwed that up way back in the dark ages, circa like 2014. We weren't doing that underneath these things where we should, and a customer sent me some pictures on my phone of a frost ring literally around the inside of his wall all the way around the house, because it was like way cold, like 10 below, and he was in about this stage.
Yeah.
And he'd been in here working, so it was pretty wet, damp, you know, humid. And when he came in the next morning, he saw a frost ring, and all the moisture in there had sucked down and frozen.
That's crazy. I kind of just want to end with, you offer, Trailer Made Trailers offers not just bumper poles, but this one actually is a gooseneck.
Yep, this is a gooseneck.
We'll turn around and you can actually see this up here.
So this is what we call a split level floor plan. You know, it's like the Brady Bunch house. So 49 inches apart from floor to floor, so that gives you 7-inch treads.
The goosenecks are cool because you can stand up here.
You can stand up there.
I can stand up there.
You can stand up and not bump your head all the way to probably 2/3 across the bedroom. Yeah.
And some will argue that it's easier to pull a gooseneck than it is a bumper pole.
Yeah, it depends on the length and the width. All of ours pull great. I really don't have a preference. They pull different, but not better or worse than the others.
Okay.
Our bumper pulls, I really like them for longer stuff. These in shorter lengths, like this one's an 18-foot long gooseneck with a 7-foot deck, 25-foot end to end. But you know, more than half of this is over the truck bed, right?
Sure.
So that makes this a pretty short load, and it tows really, really well. It's heavy and it's 10 feet wide, so it doesn't get the best gas mileage at all.
It is what it is.
But you're not pulling this thing around for fuel economy. The 8-foot longer, like 8x28, 8x30s, 8x24. That thing feels to me like a Formula One car when I'm pulling them. You know?
Does it?
Yeah, man.
So I'm not gonna have any problem pulling it?
No. We've had years of truckers moving these things around that say, they come in, they're like, I love moving your guys' stuff. It's almost like a vacation, you know?
I love it.
And yeah, you'll really enjoy pulling it. It'll scare the hell out of you. It won't matter.
Yeah, when you're pulling.
It's still your home, and it's probably got all your things in it, and it's gonna be the scariest moment of your life when it first moves, you know?
I got probably about 70 into it. So yeah, when you're pulling 70,000, it's kind of like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just insure it. Before we end, do you know Emma's design at all? What she's doing in here?
Yes, it's right here behind us.
Okay.
So she did this diorama for her school. This was a middle school project, so I think 6th or maybe 7th grade. She built this model of the floor plan of her grandma's tiny house.
Yeah.
And that's a little better picture of it, I think, from
Right
here to here.
yeah, you can.
And then that's the actual floor plan that she had to submit for approval. You know, I'm using finger quotes when I say that, like get the teacher's okay to go ahead and build that model. So
And this is from your guy.
Yeah, and this is from our design team. We do that in-house with our software. We build the rendering of it and bend it and do all the engineering.
There's the installation of it.
Yep, that's the trailer going through the factory. So I think that was before paint. It was just getting pulled into the paint shop there. Next one is when we insulated the floor after we put the belly pan and all the running gear and electronics in it. Then we rolled this frame from our CNC equipment, and then we stood it up out in our factory floor. Probably took 2 guys 7 or 8 days to bring it to what we brought it like. So we went ahead and did the siding, windows, the door, and the standing seam roof.
So if a 12-year-old could do this, anybody can do it. Like, I mean, really, like
she gave us her design and her blessing, and we went forward and built. And today was the big reveal, and we had a crowd of probably 50 or 60 people in here.
Yeah.
We ushered her in. She was in tears. I was in tears. My wife's in tears. Like the whole place was crying, and she just stood stunned, in disbelief, speechless for probably 2 or 3 minutes.
wait until she sees when it's done.
I know, it's
Like,
incredible,
holy
man. Like
moly.
that's what fills our cup in this business more than anything. And
For sure.
you know that, because you come out and you party with my crowd too. You know, the van lifers and the tiny housers, they get down.
We're all the same.
Just the camaraderie and the family values that this industry that I see it produces and supports and props up. This is a family project, like 3-4 generations of family on this house.
That's cool.
It's so cool, man.
I like it, man.
I really do too.
I'm excited to see this. I'm going to follow this along here.
Yeah.
I'm obviously going to. I do follow you, but please give Tiny House Experts a follow.
Yeah,
as well
the Tiny
as
House Experts. We're a new channel. We're not rich and famous like this guy is. We're still grinding
easy
down
with
here
that
at the
rich
bottom.
because it ain't happening.
But we give tips and tricks on how to build like the pros. You can call and talk to a pro. Leave us your comments or questions. We'll write a video script and answer your question. We'll address you directly so that you know you're talking to the Tiny House Expert that you need to. He's done it for the last year, so one more isn't going to bug us. So please subscribe, guys. Thank you.
As well as if you are interested in building your own tiny house, there is a link below. Actually, it's my link. I have an affiliate link with
Yes, you do. You're an affiliate.
And you can get a trailer-made trailer, either trailer itself, frame kit, all of the above, house sheathed, all done, and all you have to do is build the inside, or you can have them build as much as you want, up to a certain point, and then you can say, I want it now.
That's right. We build alongside you guys, so we'll do as much or as little as you're comfortable letting us do, or do the things that you're not comfortable doing and then take care of the rest when it gets to you.
Trust me when I tell you this, the more they do, the better. Trust me when I tell you that. I will definitely know that for next time.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
All right, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again,
dude.
Kyle. Appreciate everything.
Kyle, thank you. You've been over just pouring sweat, holding the camera still, man. You're rocking. Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.
I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night, if I can make it, if